Hello, everybody. I hope you're having as nice a Tuesday as you can. I know there's a lot going on in the world and whatever you've got going on in your own life, so I appreciate you taking the time. Remember to hydrate. And let me know how the audio volumes are compared to each other. I've done some stream tests recently, and I had external audio turned up way too high, and you couldn't hear me at all. So just let me know if things seem all right on your end, and I can adjust some levels if we need to. Apologies for the slurpy sounds. Sounds golden. Thank you, Kelsey. One of our excellent Web Awesome members, Isaac. Good to see folks here. Isaac is also on the Font Awesome team. Thanks for taking the time. I am from Michigan, Beast Mode. I am in Grand Rapids, West Michigan. I know a lot of the stuff that happens in that Discord, if it's Owl's Discord, is East Side, like meetups and stuff, I think. So I don't know that I'll ever be able to come to anything, but if we ever have something more, I know there's some talk about getting something a little more organized. I might be able to take the time and show up and make the journey. But yeah. How my shirt's you? I had a feeling. It has a certain aura to it. But I'm going to lean back so I don't slurp as much this time. I do have to show this off. I got a brand new Yeti mug showing off some of our... Ooh, it's very shiny though. Some of our beautiful Pro Plus. I almost forgot the term. Pro Plus icon packs for Font Awesome 7. This is part of Jelly, inscribed in cup form, which is one of my favorite ones that I helped design for the Font Awesome 7 launch, which is happening this month. It's June. We're still hammering some things out, but it's coming along very well. Very excited to get it into everybody's hands. I know that the way we've publicized this, there may be some interesting crossover between worlds that I'm in, namely Font Awesome and iconography and then keyboards. So if you're not familiar with what Font Awesome is, it is, I'll just show you. It's icons for apps, for web development, for print, whatever you want. It is an icon library, and we make it super, super easy to get and use these icons in whatever way you want. We make like implementation in web super easy in all sorts of different ways. You could just download SVGs and use them in PowerPoint or whatever if you want to. We have font versions of them that you can use in design software and just type out like cloud and it will change to the icon. We have ligatures baked in, all kinds of fun stuff. It's very, very cool. I've joined the team a few years ago and have helped mainly with icon design as well as illustration, some marketing and some other stuff like that. And when I came on board, I was informed by Dave, the CEO, that there's also a pretty vibrant mechanical keyboard culture at Font Awesome, which was very exciting because I had just recently got into that hobby as well. Because I think at the time, I had a Tofu 65 with soldered in, unlubed Cherry MX Browns. And I know, I mean, no shade on Browns, but I didn't really know what I was doing at the time or like what my preferences were. And so that broke at one point because it was pre-built and soldered together, and I didn't know what to do with that, and one of the stabilizers inside broke. And so that's when I got more in-depth into the actual building and customization game to be like, I want to be able to fix this if this happens again, which is how I got into the hobby in the first place, because my Apple keyboard, one of the little Bluetooth ones, broke. Like 2 of the keys came off, and there's nothing you can do about that. So yeah, that's kind of how things started. So anyway, joining Font Awesome, learning that they were big into keyboards. Everybody at the time actually gets a keyboard when they begin. At that time, it was a Mode 80. Hey, Dave, speak the devil. was just talking about coming on board at Font Awesome and learning about mainly yours, but also other people on staff, their keyboard obsessions and interests. And that initial Font Awesome Mode 80 that I built on my first visit to the office. So that was actually the first keyboard that I built. I had done a pre-built before that, and then I just had Apple junk before that. So that was very exciting. I think that was Boba U4Ts in that one. And you have to remind me, Dave, did that have the custom anodized blue plate as well, or was that something else? I don't recall right now, because I actually ran out of space behind me back there. And so it's currently in storage, and I have plans for what I want to do with it. Yeah, and the custom anodized base, it had the engraving of Font Awesome on the top, which was very cool. So that brings us up to almost now, when we launched a Kickstarter for Web Awesome, which is a web component framework, last year. And as part of that, we had partnered with our friends at Mode to create a custom edition of their Sonnet, which is a 75% keyboard. So if you look at, it's bigger than this one on my desk right now, which I'll just switch. This is a 60% keyboard. So we'll look at it in a second, but 75s will have the F row. They'll also have arrow keys and things like that. So it's a really nice form factor. It opens up a lot of creativity of things you can do with the function row. And you also have like the macro column, sort of like page up, page down, typical stuff on the right. What are you saying, Dave? Yeah, Mode Sonnets are E-coded. Yeah, that's right. And we'll look at it in a second. I've got it right here. We'll be building ours. So we offered that keyboard, and along with it, we also offered, you're gonna get interrupted by chat. Yeah, I thought you might like that. It seemed definitely up your alley. So I'm glad you saw that. Got way off track. The Mode Sonnet that we offered with the Web Awesome Kickstarter as an add-on. Along with that, we also designed a complete set of keycaps with signature plastics, double shot, DCS profile keycaps with all of our different icons and letters and numbers on it, just to have, DSS, thank you. Is DCS closer to cherry? I should know this. Wait, see, we don't even know. There's too many profiles. There's too many similar things out there. Regardless, it's really nicely textured. It's double shot. It is a sculpted rose profile with lots of fun icons and stuff on it. It comes in two varieties. Actually, I'll pop open the browser again so we can talk about it. This is the Mode website. This is who we partnered with. This is the board we'll be building. This is the Sonnet, so you can get a look at kind of the layout of that. The 75% board. So it's got the function row, it's got the arrows, it's got a nice little accent piece. And then the one we're building, if I go back up to the top, look at their special projects. Ooh, scroll's a little wonky. There she blows. And we have the keycaps right here. So these come in a couple different varieties. There's a base kit, which is everything. And then it's also got a 65 to 75% kit, which is what I will be using today. That's what came with the board if you backed it on the Kickstarter. DSS. All right. Yeah, because that's how I remember it a little bit, Dave, is because I think of DS, like the S at the end being sculpt and DSA meaning all. And I think that's how I keep it in my mind, because I think DSA is a uniform profile. Whether that's true or that mnemonic device or that little shortcut actually works or not, I don't know. So anyway, yes, the full base kit comes with multiple different accent colors in a lot of our Font Awesome brand colors. There's green, there's blue, there's kind of this orangey red, there's a yellow, and I think there's also just straight up gray. Yeah, the base kit is huge. It is massive. I have it on a different board right now, but it's pretty wild. So actually, I think I missed some chat stuff up here earlier. So what did people say? Oh, Dan was talking about, shout out to Laura Bohill. Yes. Good shout, Dan. Laura has helped us with some icons that we are launching along with the initial 7 Pro Plus packs with Fawn Awesome 7. She designed Chisel, which is so unique and so fabulous. It's one of the best icon sets I've ever seen. That's one of the initial 7. We're also partnering with some other folks you may recognize for subsequent sets in the future, so keep an eye out for that, which is very good. Yes, double shot. In case people don't know what double shot is, Dave just mentioned that in the chat. So that some keycaps are dye sublimated or perhaps UV printed to get the legend on top of the plastic. Depending on what the material is, doing double shot can be tough. And so that's where there actually is a molded keycap that has a different layer or color of plastic injected into it, and that kind of bubbles up and fills out the legend on top, so it will never wear out. You may get shine on it, depending on the plastic makeup over time, but the legend itself will stay crisp forever. Although the one I've got on my desk right now is oh, it's like, what is that noise? There's a little bit of voice put into this lo-fi track that I'm listening to, which is funny. I might skip ahead slightly. At first I thought I was getting some weird feedback in my headphones. This one that I'm using right now is a completely UV printed set by Max Voltar, who's one of my absolute favorite keycap designers, and still haven't had this wear out. This has been very, very durable, and I use it a lot because this is the board I take to my co-working space. Shout out to the factory in Grand Rapids, Michigan for anybody there that is watching. I know Frederick is. But that's enough about me and what's on my desk right now. Yes, there he is. Maybe we should get out the board stuff. So, let me move a couple things. Thankfully, my desk is pretty clean right now. The rest of my office is a complete train wreck to make room for this camera setup. But we're good. We'll move a little dragon up here. All right, so first off, slide this up just so I can still use it if I need to. We've got a number of components that'll come with the kit. So if you buy the Sonnet from Mode today, I believe it's still, you need to configure everything yourself and buy all the stuff. This is specifically what came with the Web Awesome Kickstarter version, because that's when I picked this up. And so it comes with everything you need. It's like a full kit. So, however, I have used the stabilizers and the switches that came with it in something else since then, because this was last year. So I'll be using a couple other things that I also really like. That some switches that I think are the closest I've found to Fawn Awesome Blue to do kind of a little matchy match. But let me see what these notification is. Nothing I need to worry about right now. So scoot this up. So a keyboard, if you're not familiar, if you're coming into the keyboard world brand new today, welcome. Something I like to be is a little bit of a keyboard ambassador, especially when I can talk about it in person to people. I've already hooked a couple people at my co-working space on the keyboard game by letting them try things out and figure out what they like, because it's a very subjective hobby. A lot of it comes down to preference. Are we lubing today? We are lubing today. It won't take too long. I promise. Because I think we only have, what, three sets of stabilizers for a board this size, because you got left shift, spacebar, and... oh no, enter and backspace. Four sets. Never mind. I'm used to split backspace. That's usually my preference, but the Sonnet does not support that, unfortunately. But, oh yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying, Dan. Yes, we're not lubing any switches. I'm going to be using HMX Clouds. HMX has kind of been my go-to more recently because they're fantastic stock, and I've never had any issues with them. And they look great too with Fawn Awesome Blue. Yes, clouds. These are the lighter spring version, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're around 45 to 47 grams. I can double check that. I wrote myself a ton of notes of things to remember. That was not one of them. But anyway, keep digressing. So all of this stuff comes with the full kit. So we've got, in here should be foam, probably a few different kinds of foam. We've got PE foam, which I'm a big fan of. It's touted to give some keyboards a more marbly sound profile, whatever that means to you. Sound is also very subjective. I have found I like it on boards that offer it for the most part, so we'll probably use this today. We've also got some plate foam, which I will probably also use, just because HMXs can veer onto the louder side. Granted, we are going to be using a polycarbonate plate, which does absorb some sound and vibration. And we'll probably also use some softer lattice blocks, which you'll see what I mean when we get to that point. And then this is some case foam that can go underneath the PCB, which we'll probably not use, at least initially. We'll see how it sounds, and then kind of go from there. So we'll talk, actually, let's just set this aside for now. Thankfully, mode boards are very easy to modify and take apart and retry things, which is really cool. So it should not be difficult if we end up not liking how it sounds right out of the gate. Then we got a couple more. Whoop, stuck. Some feet, which are gray, which does go nicely with the top. I did find it seems a little odd with the bottom, with the blue. So what I'll probably do eventually, I'll put these on for today, but I may actually order some black ones from the Mode website and swap them out. I saw somebody else on the Mode Discord showed that off, and it looked really nice. So I might just steal that and do the same thing. Let's see. What's Alex saying right now? Lubing, filming, spring swapping, and stab balancing, 24-hour stream. Oof, yeah. Well, I tried lubing my first switches actually earlier last year, at a Fun Awesome get together. One of my coworkers brought some supplies, and we were trying to lube some stuff. And I was not prepared for the tedium. Like, I thought I'd mentally prepared myself for it, but not quite. So we're not lubing any switches. We're not soldering. We're not going to be... We will check the stabs, but I feel like I'm almost cheating because I've started using dielectric grease, and I've had very few issues with stabilizers with that. But we'll see. Speaking of lube, Mode thoughtfully brings a little extra syringe of lube so we can tune the stabilizers after we built it if we need to, inject a little bit into the housings. Very handy. We got a lot of parts. We've got our screws and screwdriver bits. Very important. We've got our daughter board, which will connect the printed circuit board inside the keyboard to the computer. And then we've got our different lattice blocks. So what I'll probably do, I haven't actually built the new version of the Sonnet that uses the lattice blocks. I've built a couple of, what are they called? Envoys? That use the lattice block system. But I also have an older Sonnet, the Sonnet from like 2022 or when it first premiered, that didn't use lattice blocks at all. So I'm excited to give these a go. So there's a couple different versions. There's this, let's see if I can actually focus, that I believe you use for top mounting. And then there are squishier ones that you can use if you want something a little bit springier, like this. Whoop, focus. There we go. It's kind of like a fancy shoe insole or something. So I can add a little bit of extra spring. And the black ones are a little bit firmer than the green ones. But I think we'll probably stick, let me go ahead and get these out. I think we'll try top mount when we get to that point, and we'll see what that means. So it'll be mounted to the top of the keyboard rather than being set down inside. So I think this takes, what, like 5 or so? I think there's 5 mounting points. Yep. So that I didn't look like a complete moron, I did review the build guide or before this stream. Since I'm more used to the old Sonnet model, and also just to remember how things work. This has been sitting in my closet since it was delivered, like in the middle of last year. So it's just been waiting, yearning. All right. Some more stuff here. More parts of the keyboard sandwich. This will be the printed circuit board, or the PCB in here. So this is what all of our switches will go into to make all the keys work. Take a look at that. This is probably like the worst ASMR ever. Careful not to catch any hot swap sockets on the bag as it comes out. Ooh, there it is. Mode. Lovely. So I think, and as far as our different layouts go, there aren't a ton of options. You do have options probably between a 6.25U and a 7U spacebar, and that will affect then the bottom row spacing of the keys next to it. And then you've got a standard caps and a stepped caps, and I believe that's about it. They do offer ISO PCBs, I'm pretty sure, because the plate also supports ISO, if I'm not mistaken. Well, the foam does at least. I'm not sure about the plate, but we'll see, because this is the plate. And plates come in a lot of different materials. This is also largely based on preference as to what you like. As you can see, this one is kind of a frosted polycarbonate. Very timely with Apple's liquid glass coming out yesterday. But this is usually my plate material preference because it's not like the most flexible thing in the world. It is fairly flexible, but not as much as some other materials. I think polypropylene plates are more flexible, but it absorbs vibration. It absorbs some of the sound nicely in my experience. And I like the little bit of flexibility that it lends to the board so it's not super stiff. Yeah, just my usual go-to. I've even gone to making custom PC plates for some boards that don't actually offer it in their original run. I have back there a Typespace Monospace, which is a... Let me try to remember all the acronyms. It's an F-rowless, 10 keyless with a southpaw numpad. And it came with only aluminum plates, if I'm remembering right. But they made the plate files available, and so I made a really nice polycarb plate for it, and it sounds better for me, in my opinion. So, this is layer one of the sandwich, is the PCB. We'll put some foam down. Then we'll put on our plate. We could do standoffs if we want to, but I don't think we'll need to if we're going to be using the plate foam. That is nice when you have softer plates because it helps hold the plate off of the PCB while you're assembling it and keep things more stable. Then we'll put in our switches. Well, I say all this. PCB stabilizers, foam, plate, switches, keycaps. We'll get to that all in due time. Now we get to look at the actual pretty stuff. Yes, sorry, Dan, left-handed. I need a Chiron for definitions. Well, maybe when we edit this and put it on YouTube, maybe Isaac can add some dictionary definitions in or something. I mean, I can show it to you as well. But yes, you figured it out. It's a left-handed numpad, so you can see there. This is another Max Voltar set, actually. This is the third version of Terminal. Oh, it's a little bit dusty. Maybe we can get a better view here. Very nice. And it already had some like coppery accent pieces, and so that went really well with the Artisan, as well as there you can see the Artisan, as well as some of the more coppery legends as well. So very nice. It's a very niche layout, and I don't use the numpad as a numpad. I've actually mapped Figma shortcuts onto it, so that helps speed things up when I'm in icon mode, which is nice. The keycaps don't reflect that, but I have a another little 3x3 number pad that, oh yeah, for Blender, absolutely. I have another 3x3 little number pad made by Treasure that I use for Figma stuff on the go. And so I kind of use some of that muscle memory a little bit. All right, so sandwich parts. Now we can look at some of the very pretty bits. So also with the Sonnet, you'll have a weight inside of the case and an accent piece. I think this is upside down. No, there's just layers of foam. So we'll see what we got here. Ho, 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 ho. This is Fun Awesome Blue, baby. Go make something awesome. So this is the weight, E-coated, that will go inside. So really it's just a nice little surprise and like a little affirmation for yourself, because only you know that it's inside that keyboard. Yep, and with it, Fun Awesome Blue little accent piece at the top. That'll go above the function row. It is like a little Easter egg. So, excellent pieces. Set those up here for now. And now for the board itself. Oh, I have so many of these kind of cases in my closet right now. It's a little ridiculous. Too many boards. When I hosted a little keyboard event at my co-working space, when was that, 2 years ago? I had, thankfully, they had a cart for me to use, but I had like the entire trunk of my car full of keyboards like this or bigger, and then loaded them all onto a giant cart and took it up the elevator. It's I won't say it's a problem. I have it under control, but it is cumbersome at times. So if I had to, I'm planning to go to my first keyboard meetup, like actual organized keyboard meetup, this fall, hopefully. And if I'm allowed to bring any boards, it'll be hard to choose which ones. Yeah, exactly. And it's easy to justify them a little bit because you're like, especially like with sneakers or keyboards, it's like, yeah, there's utility here. Like I can walk around in them. I can use them for work. What's another one? You know, it feels less, there you can convince yourself it's a little less frivolous, but you know, your mileage may vary. Is that a 0? This is a 0. This is a key cult 0 up here, which I will show off briefly before we open the Sonnet, since we'll be spending most of our time looking at that. I went with just the silver, with the PC accents, and then I also have kind of the, which I don't know if, there we go, catch the light, the sparkly kind of silicon base, which is very fun. I also got the cork base, but I don't have that one on here right now. But I felt like it went really well with Expo and like the double polycarbonate kind of thing, because it has a dyed polycarbonate artisan and then the polycarbonate top and bottom accents, which is very fun. And it goes nicely with the transparent Lemo cable. Lemo? I don't actually know how to say it. Lindy Lemo. There's so many things in this hobby that I just read and never hear how they're pronounced, and so I'm probably way off base on a lot of stuff. All right, let's open her up. So first of all, you'll be greeted by, separate this out, Keycaps. This is the set, the 65 to 75% set that comes with this kit, or if you order that separately, which is beautiful. Signature plastics. The packaging is not my favorite because it's kind of like a blistered heat pack kind of molded thing, and so at least they are all in rows, which is nice, and they're not in bags, so it is helpful to know where things might go before you really dig in. But we got lots of fun stuff with the F-row. Yeah, exactly, Dave. You know, you've got a lot of your standard kind of Mac stuff if you want to go that way with like brightness and like window organization, media controls, which I know is very near and dear to Dave's heart and something he wanted. And things should be included in a lot of add-on keycap sets, and I agree. And then a lot of other fun stuff too. Like we've got things you can add, like some more development-focused stuff that you can add onto the right side column if you want. Since this was for WebAwesome, you know, we've got some Git branching, terminals, code stuff, tea for Corey, or coffee for anyone else. You know, a bomb, like the old Mac style bomb. We've got FontAwesome, WebAwesome. We've also got some other more traditional stuff if you want to do like your page up, page down, take pictures, that kind of thing. What I'll probably do is use this in the top right to open up the emoji picker, which is one of my favorite things to do since it's a 3-key command on Mac normally. Yeah, the castle's for home. Whatever you like, it's your board. And then it has the blue accents. As you can see, the arrows, the enter, and the little flag you can use for escape. The full kit that we mentioned comes with those other accent colors. And this one just comes with blue, which is great because it goes perfectly with the board. So we'll dig into those later. We'll open them up. But let's hop in to the board. It's a lovely padded case. And there it is. A lovely dark gray, which goes with the keycaps very nicely, the darker modifier keycaps. And then on the back, which I might actually switch to this camera first. Might catch the light a little bit differently. We've got our beautiful FontAwesome icons. Engraved on the bottom with the logo right in the middle. So if we take a look closer, get a good look at these. Some of these tell a little bit of a story. There are some kind of collections of things. Like you might see something from a certain science fiction movie happening here. Maybe a little bit of our favorite role-playing game. Some design stuff over here. Maybe a little bit of an Italian plumber over here. You know, lots of stuff. Lots of fun things to figure out and discover. And these are all icons from the FontAwesome library that you can use right now. I don't think, no, we didn't hide anything early from version 7 in here, so you can use all of these. You can use them all right now. And there's still, I believe, a discount on FontAwesome until we launch version 7. So if you need some icons, maybe think about that. So before we do anything with this, let's get into building the sandwich. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to leave this here actually as a surface to work on, especially because the PCB as a hot swap PCB, which means that we can take switches in and out of it anytime without having to solder anything. It has all of these little sockets on the back, and that is what creates the circuit for each switch. And they are not the smoothest things in the world. They can be pretty sharp and they can catch on fabric and also cut your hand if you're not too careful. And also if you push a switch into this too hard with nothing pushing back, they can pop off if you're not being very careful. So we'll use a little something to keep this on, keep a nice steady surface under us as we go. So first up, we need some stabilizers. Stabilizers are for big long keys. So usually anything wider than like this. So in the example of the key called 0 we've got here, the left shift, the enter, and the space bar all have stabilizers. And they're essentially extra bits of plastic that go up and down on the ends so that it doesn't, you know, wobble like a seesaw when you use it. So in order to make those work smoothly and sound better, it usually is helpful to give them a little bit of lubricant. In our case, Krytox, which is right here. This one's from Divinity, but you can get this at lots of places. 205 G0. I use that inside the stabilizer housings typically, but over the last year or so, I've started using some Loctite dielectric grease for the stabilizer bars themselves, and I've found that to be pretty good for me. Minimal tuning, haven't had many issues having to retune them later. So let's see, we're gonna restart the music because I only have an hour loop of royalty-free stuff right now. Oh, hold on. There we go. Which, by the way, this music was written by my friend Dennis Cortez, also known as Cordio in the music scene. I'll actually throw this in here. Former coworker, he's a great guy. And this is what we're listening to today while we build. And if you're interested in more details on the board itself at any point, or want to get a board or some keycaps for yourself, you can use !build or !buy in the chat, and that should show up for you, hopefully, if I set it up right. So we got this. So we're gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of stabilizers. The left shift, the space bar, the enter, and the backspace key. Hello. You'll have to remind me who you are. I don't know if I know your handle. Or if you're just saying hello in general, that's fantastic. Hello. I just didn't want to miss something if I was supposed to recognize it. And I think we'll go probably with the smaller space bar and the wider keys on either side of it, I think is what I will do. So let's shuttle it off to the side, and we'll get some stabilizers. We're going to be using Swag Key Night stabilizers today. This did come with mode stabilizers, which I also really like. Oh, Michigan server, welcome. Fantastic. I have only been in there for a short time because I was in other Michigan Discord servers that kind of died, and I only recently found out there was a more active one. So thank you for coming. Yeah, I like Knights a lot. I don't know what their situation is right now. There was a time where they were really hard to get a hold of. They were out of stock everywhere. But anyway, the full kit does come with mode stabilizers, which I also really like. But I ended up using them in a different board. So watch me struggle to open this box. There we go. Ah, there they are. So these are the clear version. I am in Michigan. I am in Grand Rapids over on the west side. So not too far to anything that's going on in the server, unfortunately. But maybe sometime. I've just been very busy. We've also got some little shims. I believe these can be used if you have a thinner PCB than we have today, like a 1.2, but I believe these are 1.6s, so we shouldn't need those. We've got our little screws and washers, so making sure that we don't, short out anything by accidentally making contact with a screw to some metal component of the PCB. And the beautiful, beautiful stabilizers. So, what is my favorite board at the moment? Honestly, that's a great question. I have a bunch behind me that I really enjoy. It'd probably be either this, the Keycult Zero, or the Typeface Universe, which is the board that I actually have my personal set, or my initial set of Fawn Awesome keycaps on. It's a lovely, I have the silver version, it's lovely. It's kind of part way between a 60% and a 75% because it has the function row and it has arrows, but it doesn't have the side column that a 75% has. And the arrows are kind of exploded out. It's really lovely. The TSA also thought it was very lovely and swabbed it for bomb residue the last time I flew with it, which was very exciting. Oh yeah, thank you, Frederick. Yes, the factory in Grand Rapids could host up to 15 people and we can talk. I would love to do another expert series there sometime. Now that I have more boards, I'm just waiting for one to come before I really want to do that, which is Max Voltar's Event Horizon, which I am so excited about. And it's actually, I think packing may begin next week, if all goes well, I think they said, which is super exciting. All right, so let's get out some of these stabilizers. I'm gonna stop talking for a sec and get some stabilizers out. So we'll need, so each set of stabilizers will need 2 of these housings. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. And they'll each need one of these. Or each housing will need one of these little buddies. And we'll need some 2U wires for this left shift, enter, backspace, and then we'll want the shorter spacebar wire for 6.25U. That should be good. Then we've got some backups in case something goes wrong. Which is great. Oh, sorry you got yelled at, Frederick. I have some AutoMod stuff turned on, and I'm still learning how to use it. So sorry about that the bot yelled at you. All right, so stabilizers. I'm just gonna move all of these over here for a sec. Bad bot, exactly. Which just makes me think of every time I would watch Lost and they would do like the production idents at the end and do the bad robot, which I think is J.J. Abrams' company. Which shouldn't have been called Bad Robot. It should have been called This Man Doesn't Know How to End Any Kind of Franchise He's Involved in. But we don't need to get into that. All right, so first off, let's start with a little bit of Krytox. This looks a little goopy. Should still be good. Got a little bitty brush. This brush was given to me by Dave. Thank you, Dave. I'm still using this glorious brush and still going strong. Actually, let me get... There it is. I knew I would think ahead and bring a little paper towel. And that way I won't get everything all goopy, ideally. So what we want to do, get a little bit of lube on the brush. And we go inside this little plastic guy. See if it actually focuses. It likes my desk too much, which, you know, granted, so do I. It doesn't help that this is also transparent. We'll just go in here. A little bit of lube to the inside. And then that will let these little small pieces move up and down inside. Ideally without rattling around a ton and not making a bunch of like plastic contact, friction, and noise. And Dave is also the one who taught me to do this. Although I think he did send me to Teja's video about it, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic resource for lubing. Alex Odos and Teja have both made very good stabilizer lubing videos. So we just want to get a little bit of sheen on the inside here. Oh, thank you. Or yes, I did fill that out. I did see that. Yeah, I was really bummed when Motor City Mechs would kind of like died and they were like, yeah, we're not going to do it. Because I think I had a ticket for last year and then they had to move the venue, which changed the date to a day I couldn't come. Because I was super excited to actually like go to my first real keyboard meetup. And then it didn't happen. That was a big bummer. But you know? Maybe it wasn't meant to be. But the, wait, did I already leave that one? You'd think I'd be able to tell. Well, what's a little more lube between friends? Don't quote me on that. Don't clip that. That stays between us. Anyway, the first real big, real meetup I'm hoping to go to is the Novel Keys keyboard meetup in West Virginia in October. That is my hope. It's not the easiest to get to. It's in Morgantown, West Virginia, so I think the best option is probably to fly to Pittsburgh and then rent a car and drive down. It's only like an hour away from Pittsburgh. It's like right over the state line. So that is what I'm hoping to do. That's like the week after a work trip, so we'll see how tired I am or what work is looking like at the time. But yeah. But I wanted to go to that one for a bit, and this year it might actually work out. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Be fun to be able to meet up with the Novel Keys guys. Check out the office, hang out with Mike. There's some place that he keeps talking about on Novel Keys streams that has really good burgers. I want to try that out. I can't remember the name of it, but it sounded really good. Sounds like they do some really interesting stuff. Yeah, I've never been to West Virginia. Or if I have, I don't remember, or I blocked it out. I've definitely been to some parts of Appalachia when I was little, like our family took a trip, but I don't think West Virginia was one of them. Unless... what's that one really tourist trappy place that I can't remember of? Not a tourist trap, but it's like a really touristy town. It has a funicular in it. There's another dictionary definition, Chiron, if you need one. Which is essentially like a 45-degree angle railway. Wherever that is, I have been there. And that may be in West Virginia. But I don't remember for sure. I was like 6. Let's double check I did all these. Look for the sheen on the inside. Should have had a better system. Did I do that one? Yes. I can see it. Cool. That's a good for a first coat. Pipe stem? I don't know. I'll find out later what it is. Alright, we'll keep this on hand in case we need it, but if we do need to tune anything, we'll probably use that handy dandy syringe instead, because it's much easier to get in there once the sandwich is built. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put in these little buddies. Thankfully they have a little guide to help us know which way they go in. Some don't, and it's easy to put these in backwards. And then they don't actually work because the stabilizer wire can't go into the housing and they don't lift up. But sometimes it is also hard to like look at them because when they're see-through and actually know what you're doing. Which is part of the thing I don't like about Apple's liquid glass. Thankfully, it's still in beta. And hopefully it will change a lot based on feedback while developers get their mitts on it this summer before it comes out in the fall. But that is an accessibility nightmare, in my opinion. It certainly looks cool. But it also reminds me of a lot of things you see on Dribbble that are like, this looks great, but no one can use it. Although I have heard from a couple of my friends who are using it early that it does... Whoop, did I put that one in wrong? I did, and this is why we double check. That it is oddly performant for something with so many graphical shaders being used. But, so good on Apple for that, I guess. But we'll see. It actually is reminiscent of a look I tried to get some iconography clients to adopt like 5 years ago. So it's interesting to see that and they were like, no, I don't like it. But we could tell some of us knew where things were heading. And now I think they're out of business, so sucks to be them. Lesson learned, listen to Noah. Now we'll work on the wires. And this is what we'll use the dielectric grease for. So, give this a little clean. Let's get out a larger sheet of paper towel. Just to keep any little drippies that may come out, although it's so thick and viscous that I don't think we'll run into that problem. There it is. I think I actually first saw Alex Odos use this. And that's where I got the idea, because I was having a lot of trouble getting my stabs, the space bars especially, to stay tuned and not... They were like being really finicky when I was only using Krytox. And I know there's other lubricants that you can use and people do use. But, as with everything in this hobby, it's preference. Although don't ask Dave if everything is preference, because he has some very strong opinions about some absolute component combos. But maybe he'll share some in chat. About like certain plates and certain switches and stuff like that. But you know what? It's fair. He does have much more experience than I do in this. If you ever have a chance to visit the Phonosm offices or see a photo, so many keyboards. It's glorious. Also Legos and other fun stuff. It was like heaven first time I poked my head in there. All right, so since this is so thick and stuff, what I usually do is I just get a little bit coming out and dip the end of the wire in. So we'll get a couple of these housings ready. And we'll just kind of do this. Get a little bit coming out. We go boop, in. Get a little bit over the edge. And then rub off if it seems too goopy. So I often end up with something like this. Hard to see kind of how much is on there, but it's like a nice little coating. Do not use thick lube on night stabs. I have used this kind of lube on night stabs and it's worked out fine. So we'll see. Unless you mean something thicker than this. Could I allow the chat for Frederick? I can. Is the bot still acting up? I'll get to that in just a second once I can wipe my hands off. Sorry about that, Frederick. I didn't know it would do that to you. Lesson learned for next time. And now the next step is to make sure that you don't install one of these upside down while you're doing each end. It's also kind of easy to do. Then we clip it in. There we go. There's one. All right, let me wipe off my hand. Let's see what I can do. Most new gem stats have tight enough tolerances where thick lube can jam it up. Oh, sure. No, you're fine. I'm not seeing any timeouts or anything on Frederick right now, so I'm not sure what's up with that. I just double checked my double checked my settings. Sorry about that, Frederick. I don't know how to use Twitch. But yeah, that's a good shout, Orion. Then maybe I'll dial it back a tiny bit here. Don't need to go overboard. You can always add more lube if you need to. All right. I'm going to dive into Streamlabs for a sec. And we're gonna get this bot sorted right now. Jory, you weren't supposed to remember that. Gosh. All right, CloudBot. Let's turn off paragraph protection. I think that's the thing. Let's see. Do I like the Key Cult Zero? I was tempted, but I haven't built my number 2 TKF from them, so I don't want to keep stacking. I like it a lot. This is the first Key Cult I've ever used. I've seen others build Key Cults. Dave, again, specifically. This was prior to them working with Novel Keys, because Novel Keys has taken over like the fulfillment and are working with a different manufacturer and stuff. The Key Cult guys are still involved, of course, but like, and I know that it was one of the earlier models that was very fiddly to build. Like a lot of internal screws and like really difficult fiddly bits. And that did not appeal to me, but I saw when they launched this one, I really liked its more modular design. I really liked that it was a simpler assembly process. So, yeah. You know what, Jory? I need to... Where are you? I'm going to make you a mod, Jory. You too, Dave. There we go. The 160 is your favorite? Favorite of the Key Cults or just overall, like, everything you've got? Yeah, you got the bits, man. You should be a mod. You're the chief mod of the company. Overall, every board. Yeah. I assume that's one that I've tried at some point when I've been at the office, but I've tried a lot of your boards at this point, I feel like. You say that, Jory. But we'll see. Well, I realize I'm putting these stabs together like right in front of my face and not on camera. I gotta remember to actually hold them out over here. So there's a little 2U, which for those who don't know, that's like 2 unit, essentially like keycap width. So your standard like letter or number keys are considered 1U or 1 unit, and then it kind of goes from there. So this is a 2 unit, that's a 2 unit. And like the space bars are usually 6 1/4 or 7. There's other widths as well, especially if you get into like more niche layouts or ergonomic keyboards and stuff like that. Like I have a split Alice, I guess all Alices are split, an Alice, like a 40% Alice board up on my shelf that has itty-bitty space bars in them. That's fun. Let's see. Blessed enough to have a Salter TKL, so I'm in the process of offloading the rest. Oh, you just sold a Kaku. I've just gotten into looking at Daji stuff recently, thanks to I think it was Ep, Extra Prius Please, who turned me on to Daji boards. Because there's a lot of those smaller manufacturers and like hobbyists who are doing kind of like one-off stuff or like small friends and family group buys and different things, which I don't know what the Daji is, but there's like these little pockets in the community that I was not aware of at all. You know, when you just pay attention to the big vendors or the big manufacturers. What do you say? When we did this run with Mode, I had a bunch of boards dipped in the Pantone coating. Yes, I remember. I meant to do that as well, but I just didn't get my crap together fast enough to actually get something assembled. Gion. Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed the sound more as well. Just from sound tests I've heard, like some comparisons, which I know is also extremely hard to gauge depending on microphones and conditions and other stuff at play. But yeah. When I have more money later this year to actually get back into the hobby some more, maybe I'll look into that. I need to sell some boards first, which is started to become more of a problem in terms of storage. I still use all the stuff I've got, but gotta rotate them through. Yeah, man, I'd love to meet you too. I'd love to get to something. I've hosted one little thing at my co-working space before, but it was not a meetup in the traditional sense. It was just me talking about keyboards essentially and like letting people try the ones I have. So I had posted something about it somewhere online, and there was one person who did show up with a couple boards though, which was pretty cool. I think they were old like original Model M's, which was very cool. But then there wasn't really room for her to put her stuff, so I felt kind of bad. It's like, sorry. We can make a little side table for you to put your boards on over here. There we go. See? Not too bad at all. And we'll test them out and tune them and make sure that they're actually working as expected and not too, as you said, or making sure they're not too sluggish or too gummy or anything. I also should get out all these screws at some point and see what we got here. I made myself a little cheat sheet, actually. Let's see. On what all the different screws do. Mode's build guide is very cool on their website, by the way. It actually has a little image that shows every single screw component and compared to the others and what they're used for, which is very nice. So like these little countersunk buddies, that's not going to show up, why am I doing that, are going to be for the daughter board, if I'm not mistaken. Or standoffs, I should say. Standoffs on the PCB. This looks like... Now I'm going to have to eat what I just said. Oh, these are bigger. So this is probably the... So let's just get them organized. Oh yeah, there's the two different screw head ones. The big ones are maybe extra case screws. So we'll see what we get. This is for the accent, which I think only has a couple. Throw those in there. This big guy is for the internal weight with the silicon base, which I don't believe I have, so we shouldn't need those. These are for, the weight without the silicon base. These are daughter board screws, 100%. There should be 4 of those. Very good. Oh, thank you, Dave. Yes, this is made by Treasure. They're the same ones that made my little 3x3 macro pad that I use Figma stuff for. They're very cool. They also make a 30% keyboard called like well, now I don't remember. They made, I think there was a brown anodized one that made me think of like a chocolate bar, but I don't remember what it's actually called. This is another standoff. These and this and this and this are all the same. So that is for the plate. So that must be for doing top mount. Is my guess. Is this the same as this one? I think so. Just Just double check that these are all the same. Yeah. Very good. So those are for the accent. These are extra case ones, I think. So shouldn't need those. And this little buddy is something. We'll look and see if we need to. All right. What is it, Kelsey? What did you miss? I wasn't paying close enough attention. Oh, the chocolate keyboard. It just made me think of a chocolate bar because of its form factor. Or, I mean, it's like proportions, like the aspect ratio of the board, I guess I mean to say. That made me think of that. And it was like brown, like a really rich brown anodized aluminum exterior. So it kind of looked like really shiny chocolate. It probably would look fantastic with like chocolatier keycaps or something like that. So I have these bits, but I don't remember where the actual... It comes with a mode screwdriver, but I don't actually know where that is. So we'll use my own tools. This is my mismatched pile of stuff. Well, no, I don't mean to break your heart. I think, when was this? It was April Fool's Day. I think around April Fool's, but this is a real legit thing. You can find it probably back in the keyboard channel in our Slack. It was Omnitype that made silicon molds of keyboards that you could buy. And you probably still can. And so they showed off, they'd made like a candle out of it. They'd made a giant chocolate bar out of it. They'd done like gelatin. It's like food safe silicon. So it's a possibility. I know you're very handy in the kitchen. You could make this happen. Anyway, my tools. All right. I don't need all of these, but I need some of them. And I might need some of those other tools later if I totally screw up a switch or something. So, got our screws. Let's take a look. And we also need to have screws that we have for the stabilizers as well. You heard of a local brewery to GR called Harmony Brewing. I have been to Harmony Brewing. Yes, I know where Harmony is. I've had their pizza. It was quite good. Not as good as Eastern Kill, if you're ever in the Grand Rapids area. But it was good. I enjoyed the beer. Although my beer tastes have changed a bit since the last time I was there. I'm more of a sour guy these days. And less of an IPA, which is kind of where I started. So maybe we'll borrow this to put some of the stabilizer bits on. If I can get all the little doodads out. These tiny little washers. I like this little tray a lot as well because it's magnetic and it holds all the little buddies on top. Yeah, play tray is fun. I gotta get in here and get this last one. Come on. Uh-oh. There it is. Woo! Almost lost that one. Man down. Yes, Dave, it is a very nice shade of yellow. You turned me on to this one. Oh, that doesn't show up very well top down. I'm not going to tilt it too much to... Oh, hold on. We have a camera issue. Hold on 1 second. That's okay. We can deal with that later. I think the camera might have gotten too hot, which is a bummer. Turned itself off, even though it was set not to do that. But we will persevere. So, some of those foams we were looking at. Before stabilizers go on, we'll want to put on our PE foam, which I enjoy for a little bit of the marble. And then we'll get some of our stabilizers over here. Let's see. into the smaller placement. Oops, there we go. Make sure that the screw that is hooked through on the hooky part, very technical term, it's got a little leg on it that kind of hooks through the hole, and the other part pops through. Just do these one at a time, take it easy. Let's find a nice little Phillips, because I think these are Phillips, are they not? Yes. Nice little Phillips screw. And I'll try to do this so that people can actually see what I'm doing. As I mentioned, using the little red washers on these just in case, because some of these screw holes do sometimes get close to like metal contacts and other parts on the PCB, so that helps ensure not just keeping the things nice and tight, but that we don't short something out and ruin the PCB. Which, it often is good practice to actually test your PCB before you start building, but I've never had an issue with a mode PCB, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt this time. This PE foam seems slightly warped, but it will all flatten out underneath. So there's one. Oh, I should double check one thing on this camera while I'm thinking about it. We'll give that camera more of a rest, and maybe it'll be ready to join us when we get to later in the stream. So we got the spacebar in. We'll do... Let's see if we can do all these at once. We got the left shift. This one goes upside down for the enter key. Even though I did admit that earlier that I enjoy split backspace layouts more and all that kind of stuff, sometimes it is nice to build on a PCB that doesn't just look like Swiss cheese because it supports every layout. Like I have a couple of the Neo 70 boards, which I love Neo, especially for like budget options. I recommend them a lot for people getting into the hobby. And with the 70, especially because it's using the magnetic pogo pins, like the whole thing can just pop out super easy, and that's all really nice. But they also like support like split left, split right, ISO, enter, split backspace, everything, and so it's just like riddled with holes. So it can be kind of tough to eyeball exactly what's going on sometimes, especially if you're less familiar with some of these layouts. So sometimes I do appreciate a more straightforward build like this. Split backspace for 60s. Yeah, sometimes. My muscle memory has gotten more used to split. And then sometimes I like having it more within reach. So especially using the Typeface Universe as much as I do, and this when I go to my co-working space, that's what my hands have gotten a little bit more used to. So it definitely takes more acclimation for me when I use something else, I've noticed. All right, let's see if these will actually stay in when we flip it. Good. I do like how Mode made 6.25 and 7U work for bottom row hot swap. Yeah. Yes. Mode's doing good stuff. And now they've got Matthew and Cena on board doing a lot of their brand and marketing work, which is very exciting. His video about refreshing their brand was very good. And also his aesthetic is just impeccable for his video content. So I might try to get my hands on an Encore when the next version of that drops. Do other people at the workspace get jealous of your fancy keyboards? I don't know about jealous. I have had a couple people complain about the noise. Not really. I have... there are some who are more averse to the idea of mechanical keyboards because they've had bad experiences with coworkers in the past, who are maybe not considerate with the types of boards that they bring places or things like that. But that's more of a personal etiquette issue. So it is nice to like show those people different options and be able to be like, hey, this one is silent, or this one is much quieter and feels nicer and is not as obtrusive. I would say I have had a lot of people very interested in the idea and like, oh, you build those? That's really interesting. Because maybe their only experience is like buying a little Bluetooth thing from Logitech or something. Which, you know, whatever helps. Especially if you're at a co-working space and you're trying to be a little more ergonomic and you can like have things separated out and not be hunching over a laptop or something. Clicky switches are only for use in private situations. Yes, only between friends, just like lube. Yeah, clicky. My first mechanic, because I had mentioned that I had that pre-built tofu. A little bit before that, I actually did pick up a Keycron, the K1 back in the day, which they've had leaps and bounds of improvements in some of the entry stuff, which has been really nice. Whoops. Music freaked out for a second. But this was like a low profile blue switches. And oh my goodness, that thing was terrible. I mean, it was for me, for a very first experience outside of Apple keyboards, it was very interesting. And it definitely taught me things I don't like. But yeah, I am not personally a clicky enjoyer, which is, you know, I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum. If they want to use clickies in the privacy of their own home, more power to you. I don't want to hear them when I'm out and about, and I don't like to use them. But I know there are people out there who like them, and that's fantastic. The name of the game with keyboards, as it is in life, is just let people do what they want with themselves. If they're not harming themselves or somebody else, leave it alone. You don't have to worry about it. It's not your problem. Yeah, mind your business. All right. Here we go. Still got this weird like air pocket under here, but we'll just smush it down with switches. So normally at this stage is when you would put on the plate and begin doing switches. I think we will also use some additional foam just to see how it sounds at this stage. Just gonna go around the standoff pins, which is also kind of rumply because of the PE foam right now. And with a lot of softer plates, like I mentioned with the polycarbonate, it can be really useful to have something like this. This is called a plate fork. And, well, I'll just show it. If there weren't a layer of foam in here or something like that, and you're trying to put switches on this, like this is going to be flexing and bending all over the place, you can actually use this to go in between the plate and the PCB and add some extra stability when you're putting in switches. I don't think I'll need anything like that because the plate foam kind of does the job. It does add that buffer in between. It's a good line, Kelsey. I like it. So we'll put this back on. I'm also, you'll notice, perhaps, there's like this little, if I can get this even closer, kind of a little orange film on top of these standoff. Ooh, I can't see what I'm doing. There is like a little sheet of sticky nylon on there. So you wouldn't be able to screw through that. You'd have to peel those off if you were using the standoffs. But again, I don't think I need to. It does add more stability, but I think I'll try without it today and we'll see what we get. And then the top layer of the sandwich. Yeah, so this feels pretty, there's not too much flexibility happening right now with the plate, so I don't think I need to add anything else to that right now. So let's go ahead and do some switches. We got right here some HMX clouds from Unikeys. I'll move this aside for right now since I don't need stabilizer stuff right now. And here they are. Nice blue bottom and stem and a white top. I actually will double check what weight these are. I know they do come in a couple different varieties. Let's see. We will consult the giant spreadsheet of keyboard components. HMX cloud. So I'm using 50-gram clouds in my other board right now. So what are these? Oh no, these are the lighter ones. Okay, I'm using heavier ones. That's right. So the ones I'm using in my Typeface universe right now are 63 grams. These ones are 50. So a little bit lighter. Not aware that there are 3 and 5 pin switches. Yeah. That is an interesting thing to discover, unfortunately. Sometimes. That happened to me with one board, I can't remember. But yeah, I like these because they also... It's not like a perfect match or anything. Get some of these windows out of the way. But they look... Let's see if I can get the light correct. They look nice with the keycaps. It's the closest I've found to our Fawn Awesome Blue without actually getting something manufactured with something with the correct Pantone shade. And this is something I learned from my friend and coworker Brian, of trying to match switches to the theme of the board, which is also just kind of another little treat for yourself, kind of like the weight inscription on the inside of the board. You know, nobody else is going to know, what's under the keycaps, but you know, and that's what's important. So let's get some of these out. I have way more than I need here. Treat yourself. That's right. We got to have little treats every now and then. What is it that Agent Cooper says in Twin Peaks? Like, every day buy yourself a present. Doesn't have to be big. Every day give yourself a present. Something like that. Yeah, you could match the stabs in the plate. Yeah. Maybe one day. If I ever design a keyboard, maybe one day. So what I usually like to do, and this is also what Mode recommends, is to actually start with the corners. And it's also good either to press down into something hard that your PCB is resting on, or to brace the sockets on the back with your finger or your hand as you push through, just to make sure that the socket doesn't pop off. Because if that happens, then you will have to perhaps learn how to solder to get it reattached or get a new PCB entirely. Thankfully, that only happened... I've only popped one socket in my entire life. And it was when I was hosting that keyboard event at my co-working space. And we were building a Mode Envoy, actually, to give away. I'd gotten like the whole kit. And now I can't remember what order these go in for the bottom row. Let me double check the pins on the back here. Anyway, I had popped off a socket while I was helping everybody build it communally. And I'm pretty sure I'm the one who popped it off, not other people who were putting in switches. And then we gave it away. And there was a little boy who actually won it. He and his parents were there. And we went to test it. I plugged it into my computer and the spacebar wouldn't work. So thankfully, because there's multiple bottom row layouts, we just changed the layout to be the other socket. And changed the width of the spacebar, and it worked fine. I was like, oh shoot. The one time I do this is when I'm giving a keyboard to somebody else. But, we learn, we adapt, we do better. And now I'm very careful with all of my hot swap sockets. Soldering isn't bad at all. That was a video from like a decade ago. Yeah, I've considered it, because that would also open up other electronic tinkering for me. Like if I ever wanted to get into modding Game Boys or something like Alex does. If Alex is still here, he actually modded my Game Boy Advance for me, which is over there on the shelf, which is excellent. Still use it to play, Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission, I believe is the name. But then that would open up if I need another time-consuming and expensive hobby, right? Keyboards isn't enough. Let's see, we want... Make sure this is north-facing, yes. For the spacebar. Get all these. Switches are the most like Lego to me of the whole keyboard experience, which is one thing I really like about them. Which my kid has really been getting into Lego as well, which is very fun to see. And video games too, for that matter. I'm bunching up my foam on this one a little bit. I might use a handy dandy switch puller here and straighten that out. I don't necessarily want any undue material compression here. It's not like we're building an O-ring board or something. Which always makes me think of the Event Horizon again, which I mentioned earlier and I'm still very excited about. If you're in any of Max's Discord stuff, I think he posted a bunch of stuff in Protozoa and Salvin as well as his own, and showed off number 001 of the set, which is mine. I'm very excited to say I was the first to order one actually, so 001 is gonna be me. So I'm looking forward to building that on stream as well eventually. I've already got the keycaps picked out. Probably gonna run GMK 1520 on that, at least initially. I think that would turn out really nice. I also have one of the BAEs, the big ass enters, that I might try on there, which might be extremely silly, but pretty fun. This is another thing we always check, for those who don't know. If this will focus, we got a bent pin, as you can see right there. One of the metal pins is bent downward, and trying to cram this into the PCB would potentially break the switch or just bend it further, and then you have a little bit of a hassle on your hands trying to straighten it out. So I always eyeball them coming out of the bag to make sure that the pins are straight so that they can go through into the sockets. Good to check. Is that why they send so many switches? I mean, it depends. There's usually quantities of switch that you can buy. It depends on who's making them or like who's down packing them into smaller bits. I usually buy mine in sets of 90 because that will cover most of my needs. Not big boards, but for most of my boards. I got more of this time, and I also bought a lot of HMX cilantros recently, which are the new tactile switch that HMX makes. Like how sea turtles lay a bunch of eggs. Yes, it's like survival of the fittest, like increasing the odds of success. It is always nice to have backups because sometimes, you know, something will miss quality control or whatever. You'll have a dud, or you bend one and you can't get it unbent or something. I actually had one that had the pin split into two pieces, like one of the pins, which was pretty gnarly. But it's always good to have backups. We'll do some nice quasi-diagonal rows. And something we always get into is I can never remember the correct layout for what I want for putting the switches in the bottom row. So I'm actually going to cheat and look at the key called 60 here and work off of that. I think, do we want south facing on this side? No, that's a north facing one on the left. You build a lot of keyboards and you still have to remind yourself of how things work sometimes, but you know, That's okay. We'll see if this is right when we get to it. Does that look evenly spaced between the two? I think so. Easy enough to fix when we get to there, to the end. And this guy. I think we'll find out. It'll be a little discovery. One thing I did not know that would be quite as hot in this office as it is when you've got 3 cameras and 2 big lights running. And the door shut. It's a bit intense. Have a nice cool down time after this. Not to mention stream nerves, which are not bad. Nothing compared to speaking at Config 2 years ago. Which if Jory is still here, he can attest to. It's a great experience, but oh boy. Probably the most nervous I've ever been in my life. More nervous than having a kid or getting married, I think. Straighten out that pin a little bit. Make sure things are shipshape. Pressure bust pipes or makes diamonds. My nerves kept you calm? Thank you. It was nice to share the load, for sure. Like, speaking by myself, I would have never agreed to, but we did a co-speaking gig and took turns and got to play off each other and do bits and jokes and stuff, which makes it much more enjoyable. Whew, thirsty. All right, home stretch. We'll do these rows. This is the first time I'm actually trying the diagonal approach. It is what the mode build guide recommended. I do still often start at the edges and work my way in, but I sometimes do more of a checkerboard approach. But I figured we'd give this a go. I think what switches came with this originally in the kit that I ordered was probably Tomorrow Tactiles, if I'm thinking correctly. There's some of the switches that Mode makes. It is really nice that Mode will make the whole package, and you can recommend that to somebody, because sourcing components can be a really tough thing for some folks. They're like, oh wait, so I ordered a keyboard and all I got was an aluminum case and a circuit board? What do I do with this? And then you have to hunt down stuff at 3 other vendors to find what you want, so I appreciate that they've got some quality stuff all in one place. And I imagine they'll have some more, well, this one's really bent. They'll have some more keycap options soon, I suspect, with Matt and Cena in the mix. I haven't tried his keycaps, the X-ray keycaps. I think they look really cool, but I am not the biggest PBT fan, I should say. A fan of PBT fans. I haven't enjoyed the sound as much, and I haven't enjoyed the Legends as much. So, if GMK could ever make anything like the X-ray caps, that would be pretty cool. They're doing lots of fun new material stuff these days. If you're in the Novel Keys Discord at all, Neflock or Riley, one of my other absolute favorite keycap designers, is working on a set called Mutagen that is all gooey green toxic sludge, see-through, slimy. It has kind of dirty swirls of stuff in it too. It's really cool. They're trying out some really interesting stuff. All right. There it is. There's the sandwich. And you definitely want to make sure all your switches are seated flush with the PCB. And hopefully not any weird kind of bowing or warping kind of going on. It looks pretty straight to me. Granted, a lot of PCBs you can kind of flex back into a more stable position sometimes. They do have some... Whoa! Run away. Some flex to them. Especially if it is a flex PCB, like has flex cuts in it. Don't let Alex Otis hear you say that. He's staunchly against them. But oftentimes they'll straighten out, especially with a stiffer plate. So that was only an issue for me on one board, and it worked out because the aluminum plate kept it pretty straight. So this part is done for now, and we'll see if my switch position guesses were actually correct for some of this. So we'll set this aside. And get into the beautiful case. So I think first we'll probably put on some feet. Although maybe I want to leave the feet off for now. No, it's going to slide around too much when I type. We'll do some feet. Feet on the internet? Usually you have to pay for that. There we go. Use these ones for now. I know it's important when these come off not to stretch them too much. There is some stretch to these because then it may overshoot the groove that we've got in the back here. Let's see if this camera's cooled down enough to use. There we go. Does that seem centered? That seem good? A little bit of a better angle here for feet. All right. Plus then we don't get, as I'm like shaking the table, we won't get as much camera wobble. All right, so we'll gently... We'll see. Let me move this. So do this live. I feel like I'm playing Operation or something. Oh, I already screwed up. There we go. There's one. Did we ever look into doing color matched feet, Dave? How much would that have been? How expensive would it be to do a tiny run of, what is it, 279C feet? Yeah, I figured that'd be like way out of bounds. Oop. Get that hair out of here. All right, position this end in the groove. There we go. I usually enjoy little bump-ons or smaller feet than this, but it is nice. Oh, those icons. So good. All right. I did show them the Easter eggs, Jory, but thank you for bringing it up. We took a look at all of the little icon, most of the little icon stories that are on the back. All right, so now, actually I needed to turn this back over and take off the back. So which bit do I need for this? Aha. Put this back up on our little play board here. There it is. Lovely. Set this up top for a second. Somewhere where it won't totally collapse. And we'll put in the weight. We'll have the daughter board first, actually. More accessible that way. With our little JST cable. Whoa! So we'll put it in like so. 4 little screws will hold this down, and then the port come out the back. Yes, exactly, daughter board. We got a motherboard and we got a daughter board. Make sure that's actually going to line up correctly. Okay. It is. Just felt a little wobbly to me, but it's okay. And we need these little buddies, which I think is a different, slightly smaller size. And we definitely don't want to over tighten these because then you could break the daughter board as I completely flub it immediately. Oh, geez. All right, so just finger tight. Just until there's a little bit of resistance. We'll do a little X pattern here. Oh, it's just you, Dave. Maybe black feet would have been better. I mean, it's another preference thing. I would say if the feet had been seen with the top of the board, gray was the right call. So I mean, the gray and gray, I think that works. Black does look nice though, just from the pictures I saw on Discord. So people can always get different feet if they really want to swap them out. They're not expensive. All right, we got that. And we'll go ahead and insert the JST, and I want to make sure, oh, that's in a different, boop. There are, if this will focus. That's not going to show up. There are little tiny pins inside there that we want to make sure are lined up with the pins. They go into little slots on the JST cable. There, you can see them in the light right there. They're just on one little direction, so we have to make sure that it's going in right side up. Then you could really screw things up if you bend all the pins or break all the pins inside. There we go. Now for the weight. This nice solid blue bottom. All right. I believe these shorter countersunk screws are the ones for the weight. You can also get a silicone kind of dampening sheet that goes in the bottom too. And so you would need to use these longer countersunk screws if you were going both through that and the weight to screw in. But shorter ones are good for us. There we are. All right. So now I'll slide this up a little bit. We'll do another accent piece. Whoop. We'll put in the blue accent on top. Finally get rid of all these foamy bits on my desk. And there they are. So it has 4 mounting points. And I believe I have 4 screws. Perfect. So it just slides in nicely there. The accents are one of the most fun bits about it. I have one of the original sonnets, which I think are from 2022 or so, and have like one of the multicolored kind of patinaed ones. I have one of the oak ones, which works really well with like botanical. I have the green top with botanical and the oak accent. It's very nice. All right. This is probably a smaller bit, I'm guessing. Yes. those in there. Try not to scratch anything on the way. 4 screws to hold in the accent. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so since we're gonna do a top mount, I think, at least for this first attempt, that's what these spots are for. If we were doing a different kind of mounting style, we could actually put some of those squishy blocks we saw onto these little tabs that are on the plate as the mounting points, and they would kind of like sandwich into the case and like provide sound and vibration isolation. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to use these blocks instead, which actually fit into here on the case and then get screwed in. Is that right? Yeah. So then we screw through the hole on the tab. Let's go ahead and put these little guys in. This one is a different shape. Huh. What's that about, I wonder? Oh, it's one of the bottom ones. I told you I haven't built one with the lattice blocks before. I'm used to the Encore, or the Envoy lattice blocks, which are a little bit different. And I guess technically these aren't lattice because they don't have that structure to them. They're a similar material, but they don't squish as much. Wedge these in here, and then these go down here. Let me make sure that the hole's lined up though. Maybe that feels like it's going to fall out, so I'll wait a second on that. And let me double check. I guess I do need those in there, don't I? It's different. It's all new. They'll line up correctly once I put the PCB in. Stay. Okay. So now, let's make sure that this is actually... So those posts go through the holes. Oh, I probably need to do the bottom first, don't I? Make sure that that's seated correctly. There we go. Got a little bit of squish. Not too much. And then we'll put in some screws through the plate, through the blocks, into the top frame. Man, that looks good. Those blues together are so nice. How does it look from the side? I mainly just wanted to double check that this camera's working. Very nice. All right, let's do it. So for those, I need these little buddies, I think. They don't need to be countersunk because they're not for the standoffs. We are not using them. We're being standoffish about standoffs. There we go. That seems like the right screw. I'll just go gently here. Make sure not to over tighten as we go. Probably do another little X pattern here just to make sure that one side doesn't get too tight too fast. So I've never really had an issue, but I've heard enough people recommend that approach. I don't want to risk it. And one more? There should be one more. Ah, it was hiding. It was hiding with the other ones. Hiding with the case screws. Okay. Good. Give them a little touch up on some of these. All right. Feeling pretty good. So now let's attach. Then we can get to the actually really fun part, the keycaps. Thanks, Dan. Ooh, my back is killing me though. I usually stand up every half hour. I guess I have been double checking to make sure this camera works, but other than that. So what we need to do, is probably do it this way. Go from the bottom. Make sure the pins are correct on where the JST cable, let's switch cameras again, where the JST cable needs to connect to the PCB right in this little socket, and see where the pins are on that so those don't get bent. Eventually over time, you know, when the keyboard kind of sits built for long enough, the cable will kind of stay conformed to whatever little twisty it has to be in position, and so it's much easier to disconnect and reconnect later because it kind of forms to that bend. Hey Andrew, thanks for stopping in. We're coming up right on the end of the experience. I didn't know this was going to take a full 2 hours, but it will. You can't rush art, right? All right, so we'll get the JST cable into the socket. Whoop. Maybe I need to kind of nest it in to the base first. And then we have a little bit of, as you can see, we have a little bit more slack on the JST. That's something I've found the keyboard manufacturers have a hard time getting right sometimes is, wrong way I think, is how long to make their JST cables. I feel like a lot of times they err on the side of being too short. Jeez. I'm having a rough time. I'm trying to keep things visible enough. Aha! Success. And we close her up. And then we will put the case screws back in. Again, not too tight. They were pretty snug when I opened it up, so to make it easier to get back in the future, we'll tone that down a little bit. Only 2 screws for assembly? Yeah, I know. It's so easy. Or no screws, like the Neo 70. It's just magnets. Ball catch is also nice, but then they can loosen over time. And you have to have a much thicker bezel to support ball catch. So it has its own drawbacks, its own limitations, just like everything, but oh, look at that. Oh, was that the Kai V2? I remember you telling me about that. That the magnets flaked out. I still have mine in storage because it ends up bottoming out all the time. Which I don't know if I don't think I built it wrong, but it's like, I noticed that even like the corners, the way it's mounted, I have not enjoyed that as much. I love the look of it, and that's what I used to put GMK high-vis on, because I really liked that with the raw aluminum. But now I have it. No, it's over here. Whoop. Now it's on a classic TKL from Novel Keys. But yeah, it was just not a board for me, I don't think. The Kai V2 or KV2, however you say it. Look at this beauty. We got the nice blue switches. Blue, blue. Fawn Awesome blue. The icons on the back. I do really like their side profile too. I'm going to pull an Alex Otos and look at the side profile. I've always loved like the little like surfy wave that you kind of get on the side of the Sonnet. And then the back comes up on the back of the board too. So you get a nice view of that. All right. Really fun part. Get out of here, Screws. Don't need you anymore. Let's put on some keycaps. So, the final step of what we'll do here together today. Andrew, I have the Dimium 65. It's doing all right so far. I don't know that I know the Dimium. There's so many boards to keep track of. 65s especially. 60s and 65s, I feel like. Well, more so. I feel like there have been a lot of new 60s in just the past few months. But, yeah, it's hard to keep. Like, it's such a common layout that I feel like it's hard for me to keep track of all of them when they come out. Like, some flashier, more unique stuff, like what Typeface does, really catches my eye. Or, like, the Class 0413... by MM Keyboard, like some of their more retro stuff stands out more. But magnet catch, cool. Yeah, I like those, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend the Neos to new people. Is because you don't have to. You need fewer tools to troubleshoot stuff potentially with the case, with the magnetic pogo pins. That's one of the things I really love about the Neo Ergo too. That, and it looks really good with Mars Cadet on it. But anyway, let's open these up. Where did my knife go? I put it over here so I wouldn't stab myself. This is one of the new knives, the key knives that Studio Neat makes, which is really nice. It just has like a spring-loaded, so if you drop it or something happens, it like immediately retracts, and it's very nice. I would love to get one of these Cerakoted yellow, but we'll see. It's a pretty tight fit. The parts fitment is pretty precise. So let's open this up without cutting any keycaps. That's the challenge, right? Well, I guess it splits in the middle. The tape kind of splits apart. Just give it a little score to encourage it. And then we can get into all the goodies inside. So we'll start with this pack. Which are all kind of stuck inside. Oh, there we go. Come on out, buddies. This is really like opening bags of Lego. Andrew, I am using HMX Cloud switches. Actually, I set this up. I might as well use it, right? If anyone's curious. There you go. When I set up that command, though, I did not put in the spring weight, which is about a 50 gram. There's also a heavier, like 63 version of Clouds, which I have in my Typeface universe right now. Which honestly, I might end up switching with these. Put the arrows aside so I know what I'm doing. Because that board is actually a little more resonant and clackier, because there isn't as much dampening material inside. And so actually these slightly lighter switches might work better in that. And since this has more dampening that can be done to it, maybe I'll put the heavier ones in here. We'll see. All right, so we need smaller spacebar. Perfect. A+ out of the box. Thank you, Dielectric Grease. We'll put the, look at that too, by the way. Look at those blues together. Whoa. In the light. Woo. Awesome blue, baby. And the darker mods look really nice with the case as well. Maybe we'll swap angles again for this. Gotta live it up before this camera overheats. All right, backspace. Oh, that didn't feel right. Something kind of moved more than it should. Oh, it's just the flex. Never mind. That is as expected. There was a little more flex in that corner of the PC or the plate than I expected, but it is all good. Just surprised me for a sec. Somebody's raiding. My first raid. Yeah, Dave's got a great point. That this set was designed to look good on almost any board. Since with the neutrals, the darker gray mods, the lighter gray alphas, and then if you buy the full kit, you know, you get the yellow, the green, the red, and the blue accents. Wow. Hello. Thank you for the raid. Where are y'all coming from? We're building a M-Mode Sonnet. Thanks, Prismatic. We are building the Font Awesome Edition Mode Sonnet right now. I might check that in a second after we put a little bit more and make sure that I didn't do something back there I shouldn't have done in the corner. Ooh, those are sounding good. We'll do a sound test as well when we get there. So 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, numbers are down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's been a long day. Z. Let's see. A, S, D, F, G. I also, you would think, with as many keyboards as I've built, I would have learned the order of letters by now. And to a certain extent I do, but I still have to like reference stuff all the time. Oh, let's see, what do we got? From Germany, we played some Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. Well, thank you, Prismatic, for recommending that you raid here. This is the Font Awesome stream. We are the ones who designed this keyboard in collaboration with Mode. We designed the keycaps. My involvement was a little more limited. We were doing color matching by the time that I joined, but I did help with that a little bit. And also helped determine the engravings for the back and what we would use, as well as the engravings on the weight inside. So let's see, what are people saying? Dan, I had an issue with my stabs on a 60% stabs touched slightly between shift and enter, which wasn't an issue once I got everything on. Yeah, that can, especially when you've got more of like some really tight Swiss cheesy PCBs of how things are laid out. I've had some pretty snug experiences. All legends are Font Awesome characters. They are. Every single one of these is an icon that is available in Font Awesome. Even this one. Whoop, wrong camera. Even this one, which is kind of an icon to represent icons. And you can use this as one of the mods. We've got like a meteor or a falling star. Come on now. You want to focus on this camera. Don't look down at the desk. Let's try that again. You can get the gist of it though. The nice thing about Font Awesome icons is that they're all vector based and they'll be crisp at any size, unlike this camera is showing you right now. We've even got, come on. My camera really hates this right now. There's just too many fun things happening for it to pay attention to. We'll take a look once we get some more stuff on it. Actually, I just realized I am going to change one switch position. Cover more of the background. That might be the ticket. Let me try getting around my camera. That's the problem. Aha! We got an awesome key. There it is. And so because of that, I think I actually want to change one of these. To be a little different. I'm going to change this switch position, which normally I would take things apart to change a switch just so I don't pop off the socket, but I think we'll be okay. And that way we can have font. Awesome. Actually, we'll save that for the blue key over on the other side. Yes, all the legends are double shot, so they will never wear out. They will always look excellent. Yep, we went with, made all the tooling and everything. Yeah, so I think I will use this as the home, as Dave suggested. I'm actually going to double check that right now, because it just kind of popped weird on me again. I just want to ensure that I'm not accidentally ruining something. All right, carefully. Did you hand lube this batch of switches, or are they factory lubed? These are factory lubed. HMX is excellent at the factory lube. So what is happening here? I think it's just flex. Maybe we should have used a standoff. I'll just know not to press too hard in that corner. Because yeah, I was pressing a little bit too hard, and the plate and PCB were separating a tiny bit. Just ever so slightly. So, maybe we will take a minor detour here and actually install just that standoff. We'll extend the stream slightly. So I am now officially going to recommend installing the standoffs. If you are a hard typer like I can be sometimes. Oh no! These screws keep jumping away from me. There we go. Pop this out. We were in the home stretch. I shouldn't have been so cocky. All right, set that over there. And, well, let's see if I can do this without tearing everything apart. Just because I'll have to bend this enough to get that little nylon cover off of the standoff port. You know what? It's not worth it. Sometimes things are good enough. Done is better than perfect, as they say. Well, I've seen the agar. Only a little bit, but it did look pretty cool. You enjoying it? Cool. Excellent. We love to hear it. Love more people getting into the hobby. Looking forward to more. Might go with the Neo 60. The Neo 60 is a great board. I have seen of friends. I have not built one myself. But I've built a few Neo boards now. I built one of the original 65s. I've built a couple 70s. I built the Ergo. I have definitely warmed up to 60s. I was initially pretty reticent to them until Dave showed me mod taps for including arrow keys. Because I'm a designer, I need arrow keys. I'm shuffling stuff around a lot. And so being able to have that function, like not losing any of that functionality while still having modifiers on the right, which I found I weirdly use only in certain circumstances when I'm typing, like for certain letters or like exclamation point, for whatever reason, because I didn't actually learn how to type for real. I just kind of pieced it together over time. I was not a Mavis Beacon kid. There we go. All right. And we can adjust. For the sake of today's stream, we will continue going. I will fix my own standoff mistakes another time. Want to do the Ergo? Yeah. The Ergo is an excellent board. I've really enjoyed it. Maybe I can show it off briefly after this. Yeah, small form factor is the winner for me because that's what I take to my co-working space. Or if I need to take a board on a trip for some reason sometimes. Like if I'm going on a family visit and I know I'm going to need to do some writing or something, I will take a 60% with me. All right. Swap out. Screwdriver. One-handed. Look at the skills. And then I fumble getting a screw into a hole. Can crack an egg one-handed, can't build a keyboard. There we go. All right, back to keycaps. Just got to be more careful. What else we got? We got Y. Old QWERTY. I'll have to remember what order some of those media keys go in. So maybe I might cheat and look at my typeface universe for some of these. I know brightness controls are usually pretty near the left side. Got backwards, forwards, play, pause, emoji. Emoji's going in the corner. And I'll map that to the macOS emoji picker. They are ABS, if I'm not mistaken. Double shot ABS from Signature Plastics. Arrows. And something I learned from Dave is actually doing kind of the scooped, reverse scooped up arrow, and that helps the arrow cluster feel a little bit more set off. You can find it more easily with your hand if the arrow cluster is kind of on its own scoop level. Oh yeah, the nub. The sprue, I believe it's called. Where the plastic came into the mold. Yep, there we go. Thank you for the reminder. The sprue mark. Oh, the discontinuity up close? We'll see if that actually shows up. There you can see the up arrow with the shift next to it, but you get a scoop kind of going within the arrow cluster itself, which I'm a big fan of, and I wish more sets would have that option. Which I think, now that you reminded me of the sprue mark, I think that my arrows might actually be flipped, which isn't a big deal. Looks like you went no foam for this build. Not true. I went PE foam and plate foam. I did not put in case foam, however. I like a little bit of clack. I didn't go full foam because these are a little bit of a lighter spring. And I didn't want to dampen it too much. I have some of the heavier spring clouds in another board right now. But we may end up switching and putting more foam into this one if it gets too clacky or something. And V. All right, we'll get to that. Let me put backspace back on and just be more careful. Okay, these are more media commands and things like that for, yeah, sprue on the bottom. Very good. I think I'll put the bomb for end right now. And then we'll put in some page up, page down. Oh, nope, reversed. There we go. Up and down. You'll pipe. Have a little dust on it. And then I've got some modifiers I can play with as well. Let's open up this side. Oop, magnet. Get out of there. A little score, not enough to cut through the keycaps. It's like opening a fruit. It's very satisfying. Got a little terminal. More buddies. The volume command is very important. Come on. Probably should open these ahead of time. But maybe somebody really likes this sound as ASMR, and I wouldn't want to deprive them of that. There is a very satisfying sound of the pieces together, since it is very, like, it's like Legos. Since it's ABS, and that's what, well, I guess they're not made out of ABS anymore, are they? I think they've switched to some kind of plant-based something or other, haven't they? Maybe not. All right, let me get all these mads figured out. I think I'm busted. We'll do the blue awesome on this side. So I did go with the font awesome kind of setup today. But another nice option over here for your caps, if I can find it, I just had it, is, all right, gotta block everything out. Jeez, this is hard. There we go. Is more cowbell. The stepped caps, which is so good. This is what I have on my other board right now with these keycaps on it. Because, you know, I'm just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. But then I make gold records. 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Little code, little caffeination perhaps. The B and M. Got our plus JK, JK, E and M. The question. Some lovely brackets. Curlies on top. And this is the only way to so I know which way the O goes. The sprue is on the bottom, right? Yes. Not that it really matters. But sometimes, with all the other hidden things on this board that only I know about, I'm going to know about it. 9. Ooh, another nice little key. I keep forgetting which way to hold things to look at this camera. Is, come on. Little camera. Great for a screenshot shortcut or something like that. Very handy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Quotations. We're closing in. P. Oh, that is sounding good. All right. So now I got to think about what I want to put down here. We've got a lot of options. Got more volume. Night mode. Search. What else we got? More volume. These are gray arrows. Mute. We got another meteor. Some sparkles, which do not stand for AI. I will not allow that to be co-opted entirely. And let's see. Let me review my other board. We'll also show off my typeface universe a little bit, which is the other board that I have this keycap set on. And you can see the different color mods. They come with the full kit, as well as some colored extras, like this little rocket. Yes, Voltron arrows, 100%. So I'm actually going to use this as reference so I can remember what order I normally keep this stuff in. So let's actually, what would be the best place for this? My desk is so crammed with stuff. Miss the F row on your 60? Yeah. I mean, I guess you could definitely get there with layers and stuff if you really wanted to, but having all this stuff so accessible is really nice. I think I'll just set it over here. Unfortunately out of view, but I can see it. And really, that's what matters. So I believe brightness down, brightness up. And you know, I could arrange these however I want, but I'm used to this on a different board. So let's make it consistent. A little nighttime. We'll go rewind, skip, play pause. I actually have one key on the full set that I don't have in this set, which is a little microphone. And I do use that on my other board for muting and unmuting myself. So we'll change that to something else. I will do mute and volume controls, which are, where is it? Or do we not have a volume down in this set? No, we do. I'm just blind. There we go. So what would I want here? It's a great question. Maybe we'll toss in our good buddies over at WebAwesome. It's a fantastic library of web components. You should check it out. Coffee cup? Maybe. But in the spirit of WebAwesome, I will not do a coffee cup because Corey only drinks tea. And if you don't know, WebAwesome is based on a previous open source framework called Shoelace, headed up by Corey Lewiska. Excellent guy. He drinks tea. No shade. I like tea too. I just need coffee more. So now let's take a look below. I think I'll probably use the meteor since I love that one so much. Maybe some meteor, some sparkles. And I do like using this as kind of as a command for Mac, kind of the icons. So let's see if I guess right. Oh, 1 for 1. Nope, that one's off. I knew it would be too good to be true to get all of these switches in the right position the first time for different layout. There we go. Some sparkles. And so this one's wrong too. And then on this side, I might do like a burger for like a function type thing, and then another command key. So we'll do this, and we'll do this. All right, get out of here, rejects. There it is. This is, oh, arrows are wrong. Again, I had it right the first time. Can you believe it? It's a slight row difference. There we go. The Font Awesome Edition Mode Sonnet with HMX Clouds, the lighter version. There it is in all its glory. Lovely function row icons. Some fun stuff down here. We're going to end at the bomb. Thank you. That's very fun. There it is. Back again with all of the icon engravings. Oh, my camera's freaking out a little bit. Sound test. Yes, we will do a sound test. There it is. Let's switch cameras. Something like this. Let me point my mic at it and see how it works. The enter does sound a little hollow, but that might just be an issue with a little bit of plate separation. Pretty damn good, I would say. That PE foam does make a lot of difference. I'm a staunch proponent of it. I love a little bit of roundness that it adds. I might double check a couple things with that enter key. It might benefit from, I might try a little bit of that case foam. It might benefit from a little bit, especially on some of those exterior bits. Very clean for factory lubed. I cannot recommend HMX switches highly enough. The only downside until recently was that they only created linear switches, which if you're a linear fan, that's great. But like I came up after I got rid of that Keycron, I came up, in Tactile Gang. That was, the first thing for me. I just realized that the music had stopped, so I'm restarting that. And so now that they have a tactile, their very first tactile out of the gate, like I don't really try other switches anymore. Just because they're so great out of the box. And there's so many, some may say there's too many variations. There's a lot of small changes between ones in like the color or the material, the housing materials or the stem materials, or spring differences. And that's, there's a lot. But that also means there's like anything for every preference and every board. Like if you're wanting to coordinate with your board, everything works well together. So I'm a fan of them. I've got too many HMX switches to count right now. I'm probably going to try the cilantros in the Event Horizon when it comes. Yeah, that's really good. The top has a little bit more resonance, which does make sense because there's the most space between the assembly and the case at the top. So I might try a little bit of foam up there, just a little bit, and see what it is. Are those the Acco cilantros? I believe they are. I just tried to type. It's not plugged in. Yes, they are the cilantros. 56 gram. I got 110 of those because I knew I would want them. Oh, yogurts. Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried those. So far, I have tried... Let me see. Cilantros. I have some sugar rushes that I'm excited. I might put those into my Cycle 7 because they would definitely be on theme because I've got kind of that light aqua fridge blue kind of look. It would work really well. I've done jellies. I have those inside the classic TKL right now, the green one. Whoops. My whole spreadsheet decided to change. Silent Sakuras, Clouds, KD200s, Lotus, Cheese, Jammies, Hyacinths, Poros, Macchiatos. I think I've got one of those in this board right now. Oh yeah, the Zero has Macchiatos in it right now, which aren't as much on theme, but did I talk about this desk pad? I did not. This desk pad, we did just sell a bunch of Fawn Awesome desk pads, which are not arrived yet. So this one is actually the desk pad from Gestalt by Akuko Labs. If you know Timothy at all, fantastic designer. Gestalt, he also just did the motif, GMK motif, and he collaborated with Bowl on a Bowl 65 or Motif 65 keyboard that goes along with that. Anyway, Gestalt, this is the desk pad that went along with that set, and I love it. It's very easy to align stuff on it when I'm streaming, and it's also neutral enough that it's not like screaming at camera while I'm trying to do other stuff. But yeah, I have the keycaps for the set on my red Neo 65 right now, actually, that goes with this. But yeah, but it's been 2.5 hours, gang. So I think we'll probably call it there. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this stream, this inaugural Fawn Awesome stream. I'm so glad we could do this. Yeah, my Fuji is perfect timing, knows when to quit. Next time I will not turn it on as early in the stream, maybe. Give it some time to cool down. But if you're interested at all in picking up one of these boards for yourself, they are still available. Alan Mo's website, they have both the board and the keycaps available, if either one of them interests you. And yeah, we'll probably go out on a little bit of typing noise, and then I will say so long. See ya.